House Resolution 261.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Res. 261 provides for the consideration of the emergency supplemental, the U.S. Troops Readiness Veterans Health in Iraq Accountability Act. The rule providing 4 hours of general debate in the House, equally divided and controlled by the chairman and ranking minority.
Gentleman makes that point that the House is not in order. The House will please be in order. Please take your conversations to the back room. Will the members at the rear of the House please take their conversations outside? Gentlewoman may proceed.
The rule provides for 4 hours of general debate in the House, equally divided and controlled by the chairman and ranking minority member of the Committee on Appropriations. The rule waives all points of order against consideration of the bill except for clauses 9 and 10 and Rule 21. The rule provides that the amendment printed in the Rules Committee report shall be considered as adopted. The rule waives all points of order against the bill as amended and provides that the bill as amended shall be considered as read. And finally, the rule provides one motion to recommit with or without instructions. Mr. Speaker, with a deep appreciation for how critical this bill is, the Rules Committee reported out a rule that allows for 4 hours of what will be a full debate. It allows for the consideration of clear and concise legislation that everyone in the Congress is familiar with. It is a responsible rule, and I urge all of my colleagues to support it. But we're here today to debate much more than procedure, Mr. Speaker. We meet today on the 4th day of the 5th year of the war in Iraq, a conflict that has gone on longer than the Korean War, even longer than the Second World War, the war being fought against the greatest threat to world security. The scenarios painted by politicians here about the war in Iraq don't affect the men and women fighting it or living it. They actually know what the world for them really is. And what is that reality? This is a war being fought by soldiers who often do not have the equipment they need or the care they are owed. And it is not improving security for the Iraqi people. It is depleting our military and endangering the security of this nation. And that is to this day based on a flawed strategy that desperately needs to be changed. Under such circumstances, for this Congress to support an open-ended commitment to this conflict, passing yet another blank check, as past Congresses have done, would be a dereliction of duty. By contrast, passing a bill that has a chance of changing a stagnant situation in Iraq is not micromanaging. It is living up to what we owe our soldiers and the Iraqi people to give them a fighting chance for success. The supplemental makes America's continued involvement in Iraq conditional on the situation there improving. America's soldiers will no longer be asked to fight in an open-ended war whose goal line keeps moving. The bill would require Iraqi leaders to make the political compromises necessary to produce a working government or risk losing the American military support. It will require the President's own security benchmarks to be met if American soldiers are continuing to sacrifice their safety for that goal. And it will be the first step toward ending the war. Ending this flawed conflict is crucial, not just for Iraq, but also for the future of our own military and hence to our own national security. This Congress was aghast when it learned of conditions at Walter Reed. But every day, the men and women of our military are suffering beyond reason. Let me briefly share one story with you that I recently heard, the story of a young lieutenant awaiting his second deployment to Iraq. His first tour saw him bravely patrolling dangerous streets north of Baghdad. He returned last December expecting a year on base during which to rest and train a new platoon. Instead, with the escalation in place, he will be heading back months sooner. The soldiers under his command are not getting the time they need to train properly for their mission. The vehicles and equipment they use are failing and often break. They are physically weary, many suffering from the lingering effects of leg and back injuries, others in counseling for post-traumatic stress disorder. Most of the soldiers who were married before the war are now divorced. Their lives outside the conflict are coming apart. Could I have order, please, Mr.
Gentlewoman deserves to be heard. Please take your conversations off the floor of the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentlewoman may proceed.
This lieutenant and his soldiers personify sacrifice. They never complain. When those in the military are given a mission, he told me they find a way to complete it. The creed is why our armed forces are so strong. But what this officer did tell me is that our armed forces cannot go on like this. He said we are in danger of destroying our system of national defense. We see soldiers sent back to tour after tour, some too injured to wear the body armor. Services are desperately trying to find a way to meet the new troop requirements, sending back the wounded. Mr. Speaker, this war is a dramatic misuse of the military. In the name of our national security is undermining the only true guarantor of national security that we have, our armed forces. And for years, this Congress has let it happen. But not anymore. Today, the House will finally recognize that our military is at the breaking point, not because of any inherent weakness, but because it is being asked to complete a flawed mission. And so the mission itself must change. Let me add as well that while our soldiers may stoically bear the burdens of short leaves, shoddy equipment, that in no way means that we in Congress should allow it to happen.
Suspend. Gentlewoman may proceed.
The bill respects our men and women in uniform enough to put their needs at the forefront of national priorities. From now on, if they are asked to go into battle without being fully armored, fully rested, and fully trained, then the President himself will have to stand before them
When the members have finished their conversations, we can proceed with the business of the House. Thank you. Gentlewoman may proceed.
The President himself will have to look before them, look them in the eye, and explain why he thinks our national safety is worth that level of sacrifice. The legislation will also provide desperately needed funds for veterans' health care. Our country is seeing more wounded soldiers returning from abroad than at any point in 40 years. And yet our health care system has failed thousands of them. It is unconscionable and it is long past time that that state of affairs was radically changed. And finally, this bill both increases funding for the ongoing conflict in Afghanistan and for a variety of other critically important national security objectives. Taken together, it represents the beginning of what will be a responsible and ethical shift in our national security priorities away from a war in Iraq that we can't end and back towards where we ought to be. Mr. Speaker, the legislation is the first real chance that Democrats have had since 2003 to change the course of the war in Iraq, and we intend to do it. We will do it not because we are conceding anything to those who would do our nation's harm, not because we lack the will to fight for security, and not because, as some would have you believe, we are giving up. With this first step, we will change the course of this war because the future of America depends on it, the basic level of respect for our soldiers demands it, and because the long-term security of this nation requires it. This is an important and historic bill, and I am proud to support it and urge all of my colleagues to do the same thing. And I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentlewoman reserves the balance.